Most people spend hundreds on houseplants that barely survive a season, but there's one $5 plant sitting at your local nursery that could transform into a $2,000 per year gross revenue stream. I'm talking about lavender, specifically how a single mother plant can be propagated into 200 individual plants through simple cuttings. The secret isn't just growing more lavender, it's understanding value-added stacking. This systematic approach transforms basic plant propagation into a diversified revenue model. While raw lavender sells for modest prices, the real money comes from essential oils, dried bouquets, and craft product. 1 acre of lavender can yield 12,000 bouquets annually at $10 each, proving that the plant's true value is unlocked through strategic processing and market alignment. The foundation of this entire system begins with selecting the right starting material. Most people walk past the perfect lavender variety without knowing they're looking at a gold mine. The critical difference between ornamental lavender and commercial varieties lies in essential oil content and growth characteristics, 2 factors that determine whether your propagation efforts generate substantial profits or minimal returns. English lavender produces superior oil yields, but French lavender offers faster propagation rates. Choosing wrong costs you months of potential income and forces you to restart the entire selection process. English lavender varieties like Lavandula and Gustifolia Munstead represent the intersection of profitability and practicality, delivering the chemical compounds that command premium prices while generating the physical material necessary for large-scale propagation. Commercial operations gravitate toward these varieties because they eliminate the trade-off between oil production and cutting yield. The specific cultivars within this species consistently produce vigorous cutting material that roots reliably across multiple harvest cycles. Commercial growers target plants with thick, woody stems and dense foliage patterns that indicate strong root development potential. These physical characteristics serve as visual indicators of the plant's internal vigor and ability to support extensive cutting harvests without declining in health or productivity. Dense foliage signals robust photosynthetic activity that fuels rapid growth and recovery after cutting harvests, while sturdy stem structure suggests a plant capable of supporting consistent production demands. A single mother plant should display consistent flowering cycles and resistance to common fungal issues that plague weaker specimens. Consistent flowering ensures reliable access to cutting material throughout the growing season, while disease resistance protects your investment from crop losses that can eliminate months of careful cultivation. Plants exhibiting irregular flowering patterns or showing signs of fungal susceptibility will ultimately limit your production capacity and compromise the reliability of your revenue projections. The investment threshold remains remarkably low. Quality mother plants typically cost under $10 at most nurseries during peak growing season. This pricing structure makes lavender propagation accessible to virtually anyone interested in agricultural income generation, requiring minimal capital investment compared to traditional farming operations or business startups. The low entry cost also reduces financial risk, allowing experimentation with different varieties and techniques without substantial monetary exposure. Professional propagators examine leaf color, stem flexibility, and root ball density before making their selection. Leaf color indicates the plant's nutritional status and overall health, with vibrant, uniform coloration suggesting optimal growing conditions and genetic vigor. Stem flexibility reveals the plant's age and growth stage, as excessively rigid stems may indicate maturity that reduces cutting success rates, while overly soft stems suggest insufficient development for reliable propagation. Root ball density provides critical information about the plant's establishment and future performance potential. A well-developed root system with dense, white root growth indicates a plant capable of supporting extensive top growth and recovering quickly from cutting harvests. Sparse or discolored roots signal potential problems with water uptake, nutrient absorption, or root health that will limit the plant's productivity as a mother plant. The selection process functions like quality control in manufacturing operations, identifying specimens that meet specific performance criteria before committing resources to large-scale production. Each mother plant becomes a biological factory, converting sunlight, water, and nutrients into valuable plant material that generates income through systematic harvesting and processing. The initial selection determines the factory's capacity, efficiency, and output quality. Professional propagators also evaluate the plant's growth habit and branching pattern, seeking specimens that produce abundant lateral shoots suitable for cutting harvest. Plants with naturally bushy growth patterns generate more cutting material per plant, while those with sparse branching require longer development periods between harvests. The branching structure directly impacts your production timeline and ultimate plant yield per mother plant investment. Environmental adaptation represents another crucial selection criterion, as mother plants must thrive in your specific growing conditions without requiring expensive modifications or protective structures. Plants showing stress symptoms in nursery conditions may struggle in your propagation setup, leading to reduced cutting production and increased maintenance requirements. Selecting plants already adapted to similar growing conditions ensures consistent performance and minimizes production risk. The root development potential extends beyond current root ball appearance to include the plant's genetic capacity for rapid root regeneration. Some lavender varieties naturally produce adventitious roots more readily than others, affecting cutting success rates and the time required for rooted plants to reach saleable size. This genetic trait becomes increasingly important as production scales increase and timing becomes critical for meeting market demands. Storage and handling tolerance during the selection process provides insight into the plant's resilience under commercial propagation conditions. Plants that maintain vigor despite transport stress, temporary water stress, or handling demonstrate the robustness necessary for systematic cutting harvests and processing operations. Delicate specimens may produce quality cuttings under ideal conditions, but fail when subjected to the demands of commercial production schedules. The right mother plant becomes your manufacturing base, capable of producing 200 viable cuttings across multiple harvest cycles throughout its productive lifespan. This transformation from ornamental plant to production asset requires understanding the relationship between plant health, cutting yield, and market timing. However, even the perfect mother plant means nothing without mastering the precise techniques that separate successful commercial operations from amateur attempts. The difference between amateur plant propagation and professional results comes down to 3 precise timing windows that most home gardeners never discover. Systematic application of biological principles rather than trial and error approaches dramatically improves success rates compared to casual propagation methods. The critical factor isn't just technique, it's understanding the plant's internal hormone cycles and matching your cutting schedule accordingly to capture peak rooting potential when natural processes align with propagation requirements. Early morning harvesting provides practical advantages through reduced plant stress and optimal moisture retention before daily heat and transpiration deplete these resources. The plant maintains peak hydration levels during pre-dawn hours when overnight recovery processes have restored cellular moisture content to maximum levels. This timing advantage provides cuttings with the highest possible water content at the moment of severance from the mother plant, reducing stress during the critical establishment period. The cutting technique requires sharp, sterilized tools to create clean wounds that heal quickly, rather than rot-prone tears that invite bacterial and fungal infections. Professional propagators use surgical-grade pruning shears sterilized with isopropyl alcohol between each cutting to prevent cross-contamination that can destroy entire propagation batches. The cutting angle matters critically. A 45-degree slice just below a node maximizes the surface area available for root emergence, while minimizing the wound size that must heal before root development begins. Professional propagators target semi-hardwood stems, not too soft to collapse under handling stress, not too woody to resist root formation through cellular barriers. Semi-hardwood represents the optimal balance between structural integrity and cellular flexibility, containing sufficient lignin for support while maintaining the cambium activity necessary for adventitious root development. These stems bend without breaking when subjected to moderate pressure, indicating the correct maturity stage for successful propagation. The stem selection process involves identifying shoots that have completed their initial growth flush but haven't yet developed the hardened bark that signals full maturity. Current year growth provides the most reliable cutting material, with stems showing slight browning at the base, while maintaining green, flexible tips. The ideal cutting length measures 4 to 6 inches, providing sufficient material for root development while minimizing the leaf surface area that increases water loss during the establishment period. Rooting hormone application follows package directions for the specific product being used, with different formulations requiring different application techniques to ensure uniform coverage. Commercial rooting hormones contain auxins that trigger the cellular division necessary for root primordium formation when applied at manufacturer-recommended concentrations. Following product specifications prevents both hormone burn from excessive application and insufficient stimulation from inadequate coverage. The application technique involves dipping the cut end into rooting hormone powder to a depth of 1 inch, tapping off excess material to prevent chemical damage to developing root cells. The hormone-treated cutting must be inserted into growing medium within minutes of treatment to prevent the active compounds from degrading through exposure to light and air. This timing requirement demands efficient workflow organization during large-scale propagation operations. The growing medium combines perlite and peat in precise ratios that maintain moisture while preventing waterlogged conditions that promote root rot and fungal diseases. The optimal mixture uses 3 parts peat moss to 2 parts perlite, creating a balance between water retention and drainage that supports root development without creating anaerobic conditions. Perlite provides the aeration necessary for root respiration, while peat moss supplies the moisture retention and slight acidity that lavender roots prefer during establishment. Medium preparation involves thorough mixing to ensure uniform distribution of components, followed by moisture adjustment to achieve the consistency of a wrung-out sponge. The pH level should measure between 6.0–6.5 for optimal nutrient availability during the rooting phase. Sterilization of the growing medium through steam treatment eliminates pathogens that could attack vulnerable cuttings before root systems develop sufficient strength to resist infection. Environmental control during the rooting phase requires maintaining humidity levels between 80–90% while providing bright, indirect light that supports photosynthesis without causing heat stress. Propagation domes or misting systems create the high humidity environment essential for preventing cutting desiccation before roots can supply water to replace transpiration losses. Temperature regulation maintains soil temperatures between 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit to optimize enzymatic activity involved in root formation. The systematic monitoring schedule involves daily inspection for signs of wilting, fungal development, or successful root emergence over the 3 to 4 week establishment period. Successful cuttings display new growth tips and resist gentle tugging that indicates root development, while failed cuttings show yellowing foliage and easily pull free from the growing medium. This systematic approach transforms unpredictable gardening into reliable plant manufacturing with measurable outcomes. Professional propagation facilities achieve consistency through standardized protocols that eliminate variables affecting cutting success, creating production systems capable of generating hundreds of plants from single mother specimens. The environmental controls, timing precision, and material quality standards combine to produce reliable results that support commercial-scale operations with predictable plant yields. With this technique mastered, the biological processes become quantifiable assets that generate measurable returns through systematic application of proven methods. The economics of propagation reveal why this business model outperforms traditional farming through mathematical precision that transforms biological processes into predictable revenue streams. A single mother plant produces 20 to 30 viable cuttings per harvest cycle, with 3 to 4 cycles possible per growing season, creating a multiplication factor that exceeds most agricultural investments by orders of magnitude. Raw cutting production means nothing without understanding the time investment, material costs, and failure rates that determine actual profitability, variables that separate successful propagation operations from expensive gardening hobbies. Material costs for propagating lavender cuttings are relatively low, estimated at approximately 0.15 per cutting. When accounting for rooting hormone, growing medium, containers, and utilities required throughout the establishment period. This cost structure includes the rooting hormone powder necessary for successful root development, the peat perlite growing medium that supports root formation, individual containers that house each cutting during development, and the utilities required for heating, lighting, and irrigation systems. The low material cost represents a crucial advantage in the propagation business model, keeping production expenses minimal while maintaining quality standards necessary for commercial success. The rooting hormone component accounts for approximately 0.03 per cutting, with commercial-grade rooting hormone powder providing consistent results across large batches of cuttings. Growing medium costs average 0.08 per cutting when purchasing peat moss and perlite in bulk quantities, with the mixture lasting through multiple propagation cycles before requiring replacement. Container costs contribute 0.02 per cutting using standard 4-inch nursery pots that can be sterilized and reused across multiple growing seasons, reducing long-term material expenses. Utility expenses add 0.02 per cutting when factoring electricity for supplemental lighting, heating costs for maintaining optimal soil temperatures, and water usage for irrigation systems throughout the 6 to 8 week rooting period. These calculations assume efficient greenhouse operations with automated environmental controls that minimize energy waste while maintaining the precise conditions necessary for maximum cutting survival rates. The utility allocation spreads fixed infrastructure costs across the total number of cuttings produced annually. Labor investment averages approximately 2.5 minutes per cutting for harvesting, preparation, planting, and initial care during the rooting phase, though this efficiency improves significantly with experience and scale. This time allocation includes the cutting harvest from mother plants, stem preparation and hormone treatment, insertion into growing medium, labeling and placement in propagation areas, and initial watering to establish proper soil moisture levels. Efficient workflow organization and batch processing techniques reduce the per cutting time investment while maintaining quality standards, with experienced propagators achieving faster processing speeds through systematic approaches. The harvesting process requires approximately 0.5 minutes per cutting for selecting appropriate stems, making clean cuts, and collecting material for processing. Preparation activities consume roughly 1.2 minutes per cutting, including trimming stems to proper length, removing lower leaves, applying rooting hormone, and ensuring uniform treatment across all cuttings. Planting operations demand approximately 0.8 minutes per cutting for inserting treated stems into growing medium, ensuring proper depth and contact, and organizing containers for efficient care access. The 6 to 8 week rooting period requires minimal intervention once cuttings are established in their propagation environment. Weekly watering represents the primary ongoing labor requirement, with monthly fertilization providing essential nutrients for root development and initial growth. This low-maintenance phase contributes significantly to the efficiency of the propagation process, allowing large volumes of plants to develop simultaneously without proportional increases in labor costs. During the rooting phase, each cutting requires approximately 15 seconds of weekly attention for watering and health monitoring, totaling 1.5 minutes of additional labor over the 6-week establishment period. Monthly fertilization adds 10 seconds per cutting when using liquid fertilizer applied through irrigation systems, spreading nutrient costs across multiple applications. Environmental monitoring and climate control adjustments represent fixed labor costs that are distributed across all cuttings in production simultaneously. Established rooted cuttings can sell for varying prices depending on regional market conditions and sales channels. Farmers markets often support retail pricing, while wholesale prices to nurseries and landscapers typically offer volume sales opportunities with different profit margins. Beginning producers should research their local market pricing thoroughly rather than assuming standardized figures, as regional demand, competition, and consumer preferences significantly impact achievable selling prices. The profit potential calculation varies based on actual material costs, labor efficiency, and local market pricing, but the fundamental economics demonstrate substantial returns when material costs remain controlled and labor efficiency is optimized through systematic processes. Each cutting represents significant profit potential under retail pricing scenarios, making 200 plants a substantial baseline revenue stream before any value-added processing or premium product development. These calculations established the foundation revenue stream from basic plant sales, providing cash flow for expansion into higher margin products and services. The mathematical precision of propagation operations enables reliable business planning based on quantifiable production capacity rather than speculative projections. However, the most successful plant businesses understand that selling live plants represents only the beginning of their revenue potential from each cutting produced. Strategic processing and market positioning transforms biological assets into diversified income generators through value-added stacking. Most growers sell their lavender once, as live plants, cut flowers, or dried bundles, missing substantial revenue opportunities through single-use approaches that ignore the material's processing potential. The stacking model begins with fresh flower sales during peak bloom season, capturing immediate cash flow from the same plants that will later provide material for processed products. Fresh lavender flowers command premium prices during wedding season and farmers market peak periods, generating revenue while the plants continue growing and developing additional flower heads throughout the extended bloom cycle. This initial harvest doesn't damage the plant's productive capacity, but actually encourages additional flowering through strategic cutting technique. Fresh flower revenue streams operate on tight timing windows that require precise coordination between bloom cycles and market demand peaks. Wedding planners pay premium prices for specific bloom timing, while farmers market customers prefer flowers at optimal color saturation before the essential oils begin concentrating through maturation processes. The fresh flower phase generates immediate working capital that funds the equipment and materials necessary for downstream processing operations. Dried flower products extend the selling season and command premium prices due to their shelf stability and craft market appeal. The dehydration process concentrates the aromatic compounds while creating products with indefinite storage life, eliminating the perishability constraints that limit fresh flower marketing windows. Dried lavender bundles sell for significantly higher margins than fresh flowers while requiring minimal processing equipment beyond adequate ventilation and storage space. The drying process involves harvesting flowers at peak oil content, typically just before full bloom when the essential oil concentration reaches maximum levels. Proper drying maintains color integrity and aromatic potency through controlled moisture removal that prevents mold development while preserving the volatile compounds responsible for lavender's commercial value. Air drying techniques require 2 to 3 weeks under optimal conditions, while commercial dehydrators reduce processing time to 24 to 48 hours with superior color retention. Essential oil extraction represents the highest value per pound conversion, typically requiring large quantities of fresh flowers to produce small amounts of concentrated oil worth hundreds of dollars per pound. Steam distillation equipment processes large volumes of plant material into concentrated essential oils that capture the highest market values in lavender commerce. The distillation process requires specialized equipment but generates profit margins that exceed all other lavender products by substantial margins. The distillation operation involves loading fresh or dried flowers into steam chambers, where water vapor carries the volatile oil compounds through condensation systems that separate the oil from water components. The resulting essential oil contains concentrated, aromatic, and therapeutic compounds that command premium pricing in cosmetic, aromatherapy, and pharmaceutical markets. Professional distillation equipment costs several $1,000s, but processes sufficient material to justify the investment through high-value oil production. Secondary products include lavender sachets, soaps, candles, and culinary applications that multiply the base material value by 10-20 times through value-added manufacturing processes. These products transform dried flowers and essential oils into finished goods, targeting gift markets, home decor segments, and specialty food applications. Each processing step adds labor and materials while creating products that sell for multiples of the raw material cost. Sachet production combines dried flowers with fabric enclosures that preserve aromatic properties while creating attractive packaging for gift and home fragrance markets. Soap manufacturing incorporates essential oils into artisanal soap bases that appeal to natural product consumers willing to pay premium prices for handcrafted goods. Candle production embeds essential oils in wax matrices that release fragrance through controlled burning, creating luxury items with high profit margins. Culinary lavender processing involves food-grade preparation techniques that remove stems and debris while maintaining the flavor compounds essential for cooking applications. Restaurants and specialty food retailers pay premium prices for properly processed culinary lavender that meets food safety standards and provides consistent flavor profiles. The culinary market demands specific processing techniques and packaging that differentiate food-grade products from decorative applications. The key insight involves timing these revenue streams to maximize plant productivity while minimizing waste and storage costs through coordinated harvesting and processing schedules. Strategic planning aligns fresh flower harvests with peak market demand while reserving sufficient material for drying and distillation operations. Efficient workflow coordination prevents bottlenecks that could result in material spoilage or missed market opportunities. Processing schedules must accommodate the different optimal harvest timings for various products. Fresh flowers require earlier harvesting for maximum visual appeal, while essential oil production demands later harvesting when oil concentration peaks. Successful operations balance these competing requirements through multiple harvests that capture different products at their optimal stages. Storage capacity planning ensures adequate space for dried products, while processing equipment operates at capacity during peak production periods. Value-added processing requires additional equipment, investment, and skills development beyond basic propagation, affecting the profit calculations from plant sales alone. The multiplication effect occurs through strategic processing that converts low-margin raw materials into high-margin finished products, targeting diverse market segments. Understanding this concept shifts your entire business model from plant production to product manufacturing, using plants as raw materials rather than end products. However, the processing complexity and profit margins vary dramatically across different product categories, creating a hierarchy that determines which investments generate the highest returns. Essential oils command the highest position in this hierarchy, though market pricing varies significantly based on quality, processing methods, and distribution channels. The concentrated nature of essential oils means that substantial amounts of raw lavender flowers transform into tiny volumes of high-value product, with distillation processes typically requiring large quantities of fresh material to produce small amounts of pure oil. Steam distillation equipment represents a significant initial investment, but the profit margins can justify the expense through premium pricing that reflects the concentrated aromatic compounds and therapeutic properties. The distillation process concentrates volatile aromatic compounds through steam extraction, separating the most valuable components from plant material while creating products that appeal to cosmetic manufacturers, aromatherapy practitioners, and pharmaceutical applications. Professional-grade distillation equipment processes large volumes of plant material efficiently, with automated temperature controls and condensation systems that maximize oil yield while maintaining quality standards. The resulting essential oils contain concentrated therapeutic compounds that command premium pricing across multiple market segments. Culinary lavender represents another premium category, with properly processed food-grade material selling for $25 to $40 per pound when marketed directly to restaurant and specialty food retailers seeking unique flavor profiles for gourmet applications. This premium pricing reflects the specialized processing requirements and direct-to-restaurant sales channels rather than broader wholesale market conditions. The culinary market demands food-grade processing technique that removes stems and debris while preserving the delicate flavor compounds that distinguish culinary varieties from decorative applications. Restaurant clients pay premium prices for consistently processed culinary lavender that provides predictable flavor profiles across multiple uses, making quality control essential for maintaining market relationships. Specialty food retailers target consumers interested in gourmet cooking ingredients, creating retail opportunities that command higher margins than wholesale commodity markets. The processing requirements include stem removal, debris screening, and packaging that meets food-grade standards while preserving aromatic properties. Handcrafted sachets and potpourri blends sell for $8 to $15 each, requiring minimal processing time but targeting high-value gift markets that prioritize aesthetic appeal and aromatic properties. These products leverage the natural fragrance of dried lavender while incorporating attractive packaging and presentation elements that justify premium pricing. The low processing requirements mean that significant portions of revenue translate directly into profit, with material costs representing minimal investment compared to finished product values. Sachet production involves combining dried flowers with fabric enclosures that preserve aromatic properties while creating visually appealing products for home fragrance applications. Gift market positioning emphasizes natural ingredients and handcrafted qualities that appeal to consumers seeking alternatives to synthetic fragrances. Potpourri blends incorporate complementary aromatic materials that enhance lavender's natural fragrance while creating unique product variations that differentiate market offering. Fresh flower bouquets generate $10 to $20 each during wedding season, with some varieties commanding premium prices for their color intensity and visual impact in ceremonial applications. Wedding planners prioritize specific bloom timing and color consistency, creating opportunities for premium pricing during peak demand periods. The seasonal nature of fresh flower sales requires precise coordination between bloom cycles and market demand windows, but the profit margins justify the intensive timing requirements. Color intensity variations among different lavender varieties create pricing opportunities, with deep purple cultivars often commanding higher prices than lighter varieties due to visual impact preferences in wedding and event application. Fresh flower harvesting requires optimal timing to capture peak color saturation before essential oil development begins altering flower appearance. The perishable nature of fresh flowers demands efficient marketing channels that minimize time between harvest and final sale. Dried flower arrangements for home decor markets can reach $25 or $50 per arrangement, especially when combined with complementary plants that create visually complex compositions appealing to interior design applications. Professional arrangement techniques incorporate design principles that maximize visual impact while showcasing lavender's natural beauty through strategic placement and color coordination. The shelf stability of dried flowers extends selling seasons beyond fresh flower availability while maintaining aromatic properties that enhance decorative appeal. Home decor markets value arrangements that complement interior design trends, creating opportunities for seasonal product variations that align with changing consumer preferences. Combination arrangements, featuring lavender alongside complementary dried materials, command higher prices than single-species displays through increased visual complexity and design sophistication. The processing requirements scale from simple air drying to steam distillation, allowing gradual expansion into higher value categories as business operations mature and equipment investments become feasible. This scalability enables producers to start with basic processing methods before advancing to more sophisticated techniques that require specialized knowledge and equipment investments. Essential oils and culinary products generally offer greater profit potential per pound of raw material processed than basic dried flowers, though actual returns depend heavily on processing quality and market access. This hierarchy guides production planning, helping allocate plant material strategically rather than defaulting to the most convenient processing methods. Understanding these relative value relationships becomes crucial when determining where to focus limited resources and processing capacity. The profit potential from any lavender product depends not just on processing complexity, but critically on distribution strategy and market positioning. The same lavender product can generate vastly different profits depending on where and how you sell it, with significant pricing variations between distribution channels for identical products. Farmers markets, online platform, wholesale accounts, and direct-to-consumer channels each offer distinct advantages and profit margins that align with specific product characteristics and customer preferences. Many producers default to the most convenient sales channel without analyzing which markets pay premium prices for their specific products, a strategic oversight that limits revenue potential despite successful production operations. Building relationships with various sales channels takes time, and beginning producers should start with one or two accessible channels rather than attempting to access all simultaneously. Farmers markets and direct sales provide the most straightforward entry points, requiring minimal infrastructure while offering immediate customer feedback and premium pricing opportunities. Farmers markets excel for fresh flowers and artisanal products, allowing direct customer education and premium pricing through personal interaction that builds brand loyalty and justifies higher margins. The face-to-face sales environment enables producers to explain cultivation methods, harvest harvesting techniques, and product applications that differentiate their offering from mass-produced alternatives. Customers at farmers markets actively seek locally produced goods and demonstrate willingness to pay premium prices for products with transparent sourcing and artisanal production methods. Fresh flower sales benefit enormously from immediate visual appeal and aromatic impact that customers experience directly, creating emotional connections that justify pricing premiums. Artisanal products like handcrafted sachets and small batch essential oils perform exceptionally well when customers can interact with the producer and understand the craftsmanship involved in production. Online platforms like Etsy and Amazon capture national markets for dried products and crafts, but require different packaging and shipping considerations that add complexity while expanding market reach exponentially. Digital marketplaces eliminate geographical limitations while providing access to customers specifically searching for lavender products across diverse categories. The online environment favors products with strong visual appeal through photography and detailed descriptions that communicate quality and craftsmanship effectively. Etsy specializes in handcrafted and artisanal products, attracting customers willing to pay premium prices for unique items with personal stories and small batch production methods. Amazon provides massive market reach, but intense price competition that favors efficient operations and competitive pricing strategies. The packaging requirements for shipped products demand investment in protective materials and attractive presentation that maintains product integrity during transport while creating positive unboxing experiences. Wholesale accounts with florists, restaurants, and spa businesses provide steady volume sales but demand consistent quality and reliable delivery schedules that support professional operations with predictable supply requirements. Commercial buyers prioritize reliability and consistency over premium pricing, creating opportunities for sustained relationships based on dependable service rather than lowest cost procurement. Volume purchasing patterns enable predictable production planning while reducing marketing costs through long-term contractual relationships. Florist accounts typically require fresh flowers during specific seasons, with advanced ordering systems that enable production planning aligned with bloom cycles and harvest timing. Restaurant partnerships demand food-grade culinary lavender with consistent flavor profiles and reliable availability during menu planning periods. Spa businesses purchase essential oils and dried products for aromatherapy applications, emphasizing quality and therapeutic properties over price consideration. Wedding and event planners represent high-value seasonal opportunities, often paying premium prices for specific varieties and timing that align with ceremonial requirements and aesthetic preferences. Event planning operates on precise scheduling demands that create opportunities for premium pricing when suppliers can guarantee specific bloom timing and color consistency. The seasonal concentration of wedding demand enables intensive revenue generation during peak periods that justify specialized production scheduling. Direct-to-consumer subscription boxes and CSA programs create recurring revenue streams while building customer loyalty and predictable cash flow through automated billing and scheduled deliveries. Subscription models enable revenue forecasting and production planning based on committed customer volumes rather than speculative market demand. The recurring relationship format supports premium pricing through convenience and curation that customers value beyond individual product costs. Community-supported agriculture programs for lavender products create advanced payment systems that fund production costs while guaranteeing sales volumes throughout growing seasons. Subscription boxes targeting aromatherapy enthusiasts, crafters, and culinary applications provide monthly revenue streams with predictable shipping schedules and customer retention metrics. The key involves matching product characteristics to market preferences. Premium essential oils perform better online through detailed product descriptions and customer reviews, while fresh flowers dominate local markets where immediate sensory experience drives purchasing decisions. Strategic alignment between product attributes and channel characteristics maximizes pricing potential while minimizing marketing costs and operational complexity. Essential oils and concentrated products ship efficiently for online sales while maintaining quality during transport, making digital channels ideal for reaching national markets seeking therapeutic and aromatherapy applications. Fresh flowers require immediate sale or specialized handling that favors local channels where transportation time remains minimal and visual impact stays optimal. Direct-to-consumer channels consistently deliver the highest margins, followed by specialized wholesale accounts that value quality and reliability over commodity pricing. The direct sales advantage eliminates distributor markups while enabling premium positioning through educational marketing and relationship building. Strategic channel selection can double your effective selling price compared to commodity market approaches that compete primarily on cost rather than differentiation and value creation. However, successful market positioning means nothing without the operational capacity to deliver products consistently at scale. Production capacity demands systematic infrastructure planning that coordinates space allocation, timing cycles, and workflow optimization. The transition from hobby propagation to systematic production requires understanding these operational requirements that transform scattered gardening activities into coordinated manufacturing operations. Producing 200 plants annually demands careful planning of propagation cycles, growing space, and harvest scheduling to maintain consistent output throughout multiple growing seasons. The space calculation requires 4 to 6 square feet per mature plant for growing space alone, meaning 200 plants need 800 to 1,200 square feet of dedicated growing area. This calculation assumes proper plant spacing that prevents overcrowding while allowing adequate air circulation and maintenance access throughout the growing cycle. Additional space allocation becomes essential for walkways, storage zone, processing areas, equipment storage, packaging facilities, and climate control systems that support large-scale production requirements. The growing area must accommodate different plant development stages simultaneously, with newly rooted cuttings requiring protected conditions, while mature plants need full sun exposure and harvest accessibility. Efficient layout design creates zones for propagation, establishment, and production phases that optimize workflow while maintaining ideal growing conditions for plants at different maturity levels. The space allocation includes contingency areas for plant quarantine, equipment maintenance, and seasonal storage needs that prevent operational bottlenecks during peak production periods. Staggered propagation cycles every 6 to 8 weeks ensure continuous production rather than seasonal gluts that overwhelm processing capacity and create marketing bottlenecks. Though timing may vary based on climate conditions, growing environment, and seasonal factors that affect plant development rates, this systematic scheduling distributes labor requirements throughout the growing season while maintaining consistent plant availability for diverse market channels. Staggered production prevents the feast or famine cycles that plague seasonal operations, creating predictable workflows that support efficient resource utilization and steady revenue generation. The propagation schedule coordinates cutting harvests from mother plants with rooting space availability and transplanting requirements to maintain smooth production flow. Each cycle produces 40 to 50 plants that progress through establishment phases while subsequent cycles begin, creating overlapping production that maximizes space utilization. Advanced planning integrates weather patterns, market demand cycles, and processing capacity to optimize timing across multiple propagation phases. Greenhouse or high tunnel structures extend the growing season and protect valuable plants from weather-related losses that devastate outdoor operations through temperature extremes, wind damage, and precipitation stress. Protected growing environments enable year-round propagation activities and extend harvest seasons beyond outdoor limitations. Climate-controlled structures provide consistent growing conditions that improve success rates while protecting investment from unpredictable weather events that can destroy entire production cycles. Environmental control systems within protected structures regulate temperature, humidity, and ventilation to optimize plant development while minimizing disease pressure and stress-related losses. Automated systems reduce labor requirements while maintaining precise growing conditions that support consistent plant quality and predictable maturation timing. The initial infrastructure investment pays dividends through improved plant survival rates, extended growing seasons, and protection from weather-related crop losses. Irrigation systems become essential at this scale, with the drip irrigation reducing labor costs while improving plant health and consistency through precise water delivery and nutrient distribution. Automated irrigation eliminates the time-intensive manual watering required for large plant populations while providing consistent moisture levels that optimize growth rates and plant quality. Drip systems deliver water directly to root zones, reducing waste while preventing foliar diseases associated with overhead watering methods. The irrigation infrastructure includes timers, moisture sensors, and fertilizer injection systems that automate plant care while maintaining optimal growing conditions. Water conservation through targeted delivery reduces operational costs while supporting sustainable production practices that appeal to environmentally conscious markets. Consistent moisture levels eliminate plant stress that reduces cutting production and compromises essential oil quality in mature plants. The workflow optimization involves batching similar tasks, taking all cuttings in one session, transplanting in batches, harvesting by schedule rather than convenience. To maximize labor efficiency and maintain consistent plant care standards, task batching reduces setup time and increases productivity through economies of scale in material preparation and tool utilization. Systematic scheduling ensures critical timing requirements are met while minimizing labor costs through efficient workflow coordination. Storage and processing space requirements often exceed growing space needs, especially when pursuing value-added product strategies that require drying areas, distillation equipment, and finished product storage. Processing operations demand specialized spaces with adequate ventilation, climate control, and equipment access that support efficient product manufacturing. The storage requirements include raw materials, work-in-process inventory, and finished products that accumulate throughout production cycles. Commercial plant production may require permits or compliance with local agricultural regulations, depending on your location and scale of operations. Research local zoning requirements and business licensing before establishing production facilities to avoid potential legal complications that could disrupt operations. Systematic scheduling and space planning transform small-scale propagation into profitable production through coordinated infrastructure development and workflow optimization. This systematic approach creates the operational foundation necessary for consistent revenue generation. But success ultimately depends on understanding the seasonal cash flow patterns that drive lavender business profitability. Understanding these cash flow patterns requires examining the specific revenue opportunities that emerge throughout each season, creating a comprehensive annual timeline that transforms biological cycles into predictable business operations. The $2,000 annual revenue target represents potential gross revenue based on optimal conditions and market pricing, though actual results will vary significantly based on local market conditions, competition levels, weather impact, and the producer's developing skills in both cultivation and marketing. Spring plant sales generate potential revenue of $800 to $1,000 from rooted cuttings as gardeners prepare for the growing season and landscaping projects begin in earnest across residential and commercial markets. This revenue phase capitalizes on the gardening enthusiasm that peaks during March through May, when consumers actively seek plants for new garden installations and landscape renovations. The spring market timing aligns perfectly with rooted cuttings that have completed their 6 to 8 week establishment period during late winter propagation cycles, creating ready inventory when demand reaches seasonal highs. The spring sales window captures premium pricing through limited availability and high demand, with established plants commanding top dollar from gardeners eager to begin growing seasons after winter dormancy periods. Landscaping professionals prioritize reliable plant sources during peak installation seasons, creating wholesale opportunities that complement retail sales through farmers markets and direct consumer channels. The concentrated demand period enables efficient marketing efforts that maximize revenue generation through focused sales activities during optimal timing windows. Summer fresh flower sales capture potential revenue of $400 to $600 during peak bloom season, with wedding and event markets paying premium prices for quality stems that meet specific color and timing requirements. The summer revenue stream leverages the natural bloom cycles that produce abundant flowers during June through August, when lavender reaches peak visual appeal and aromatic potency. Wedding planners schedule events around flower availability, creating opportunities for premium pricing when suppliers can guarantee specific bloom timing and color consistency. Event markets operate on precise scheduling demands that justify premium pricing for producers who can deliver consistent quality during critical timing windows. Fresh flower revenue requires intensive coordination between bloom cycles and market demand, but the profit margins reward careful planning and execution. The seasonal concentration of wedding demand enables intensive revenue generation during peak periods that compensate for the labor-intensive nature of fresh flower production and marketing. Fall dried flower and craft product sales contribute potential revenue of $600–$800 as consumers prepare for holiday decorating and gift-giving seasons that emphasize natural materials and handcrafted aesthetic. The autumn market captures revenue from dried products that have completed processing during late summer harvests, when essential oil content peaks and flower color reaches optimal saturation levels. Holiday markets prioritize products with shelf stability and gift appeal, creating opportunities for premium pricing through attractive packaging and seasonal positioning. Craft markets expand significantly during autumn months as consumers prepare for holiday decorating projects and seek natural materials for home fragrance applications. The dried flower processing timeline aligns perfectly with fall sales windows, allowing producers to capture peak pricing when demand exceeds supply from seasonal producers. Gift market positioning emphasizes natural ingredients and artisanal production methods that justify premium pricing over mass-produced alternatives. Winter essential oil and culinary product sales complete the cycle with potential revenue of $200–$400 from processed materials and stored inventory that provide cash flow during otherwise dormant agricultural periods. The winter revenue stream leverages value-added processing that transforms raw plant material into concentrated product with extended shelf life and premium pricing potential. Essential oil sales target aromatherapy and cosmetic markets that operate year-round, providing steady demand for properly processed and stored product. Culinary applications experience increased demand during winter holiday cooking seasons, when specialty ingredients command premium prices from restaurants and home cooks seeking unique flavor profiles. The processing timeline aligns distillation and food-grade preparation activities with optimal plant material availability, while creating inventory for winter sales periods when fresh products are unavailable. The timeline requires starting propagation in late winter to have plants ready for spring sales, with continuous cycles maintaining inventory throughout growing seasons and processing periods. Late winter propagation captures optimal hormone levels and environmental conditions for maximum cutting success rates, while timing plant maturity for peak spring demand. Continuous propagation cycles ensure steady plant availability for diverse market channels while preventing inventory shortages that limit sales opportunities. Processing schedules align with bloom cycles, distilling oils at peak potency, harvesting flowers at optimal color, timing dried products for seasonal demand patterns that maximize market value. The coordination between biological cycles and market demand requires careful planning and experience, with beginning producers expecting a learning curve in optimizing their timing across multiple production variables. Revenue diversification across multiple product categories and seasons reduces risk, while maximizing the value extracted from each plant through strategic processing and market positioning. The systematic approach transforms seasonal gardening into year-round business operations with predictable cash flow patterns that support business planning and expansion activities. This comprehensive timeline demonstrates the potential for converting modest initial investments into sustained annual returns through coordinated production systems that align agricultural processes with market opportunities. The systematic framework provides the operational foundation for transforming modest plant investments into diversified revenue streams. This model works because it combines propagation techniques with high-margin product development, creating multiple profit centers from single investments that generate sustained returns across diverse market channels. Though agricultural ventures always carry inherent risk related to weather conditions, market fluctuations, and the learning curves that new producers will experience, the systematic approach transforms biological assets into manufacturing operations. where plants function as raw materials for essential oils, culinary products, and artisanal goods that command premium pricing. Success requires patience and skill development that comes through practical experience rather than theoretical knowledge alone. The next step involves selecting your mother plant and beginning the first propagation cycle, starting small and scaling gradually as your skills develop and market relationships strengthen.